In the distant future, humanity had finally earned its place among the stars. After decades of exploration and technological advancement, Earth joined the Galactic Council, an alliance of advanced alien civilizations that governed the galaxy. It was supposed to be a proud moment for humanity, but things didn't go as planned. The council meeting took place aboard the massive space station Oblivion Spire *, a structure so large it could house entire cities. Representatives from dozens of alien species gathered in a grand hall filled with floating holograms, glowing symbols, and strange, otherworldly artifacts. Captain Ryan Mitchell stood at the edge of the room, his arms crossed as he listened to the discussions. He was a tall man with sharp features and short brown hair, wearing the uniform of Earth's fleet. Beside him was Lieutenant Emma Hayes, a young woman with curly blonde hair and a determined expression. She glanced at Ryan occasionally, sensing his frustration, but saying nothing. Both of them were part of the delegation sent to represent Earth, but they quickly realized they weren't being taken seriously. The meeting started with formal greetings, but it didn't take long for things to turn sour. A Zentari diplomat named Lysandra stepped forward. Her skin shimmered like liquid blue glass, and her eyes glowed faintly. She spoke with a voice that sounded like wind chimes, but her words carried a biting edge. "We welcome Earth to the Council," she began, her tone dripping with sarcasm. "But we must address the shortcomings of their technology." A holographic display appeared in the center of the room, showing images of human starships. Compared to the sleek, elegant designs of alien vessels, the human ships looked bulky and outdated. Lysandra gestured toward the display. "These primitive machines are a danger to themselves and others. How can we trust such fragile creations in interstellar travel?" Murmurs of agreement spread through the room. Some aliens chuckled openly, while others exchanged smug glances. Ryan clenched his jaw, but kept his composure. Emma, however, felt her face grow hot with anger. She wanted to defend their ships, to explain how humans had built them from scratch with limited resources, but she knew now wasn't the time to speak. Lysandra continued, her smile growing wider. "Look at this one," she said, pointing to a ship called the Pegasus *. "It looks like a child's toy compared to our vessels. Are humans truly ready for the responsibilities of the Council?" More laughter erupted, and Ryan felt his fists tighten. The Pegasus * was his ship, and hearing it mocked made his blood boil. But Ryan wasn't just angry, he was hurt. He thought back to all the sacrifices humans had made to reach the stars. Countless lives had been lost in the pursuit of knowledge and progress. Entire generations had worked tirelessly to build the fleet that now carried Earth's flag across the galaxy. And yet, here they were, being treated like children who didn't belong. Emma noticed Ryan's reaction and placed a hand on his arm. "Don't let them get to you," she whispered. "They don't understand what we've been through." Ryan nodded slightly, taking a deep breath. He knew she was right. These aliens couldn't comprehend the struggles humanity had faced. They hadn't seen the wars, the hardships, or the determination that drove humans to keep moving forward no matter what. As the meeting dragged on, the mockery continued. Other diplomats chimed in, criticizing not just the ships, but also Earth's culture, history, and even its people. Ryan tuned out most of it, focusing instead on formulating a plan. He wouldn't let this humiliation break him or his crew. If anything, it only strengthened his resolve. One day, he promised himself, humanity would prove its worth. Until then, he would bide his time and prepare for whatever challenges lay ahead. Little did he know, those challenges would come sooner than expected, and they would change everything. Weeks passed after the humiliating council meeting, and tensions between humanity and the other alien species only grew worse. The mocking words of Counselor Lysandra echoed in the minds of many humans, fueling a mix of anger and determination. Despite the insults, Captain Ryan Mitchell and his crew aboard the Pegasus * continued their duties, patrolling sectors of space near Earth's territory. They tried to focus on their mission, but something strange began happening that no one could ignore. Reports started coming in from across the galaxy. Ships were disappearing without explanation. At first, it was just small cargo vessels traveling through remote regions of space. Then larger ships vanished, including military cruisers belonging to some of the most advanced alien races. Entire fleets seemed to blink out of existence, leaving behind no wreckage, no distress signals, and no clues about what had happened. Panic spread quickly among the Galactic Council members, who struggled to understand the cause of these mysterious losses. One evening, as Ryan sat in the command chair of the Pegasus *, Lieutenant Emma Hayes approached him with new information. "Sir," she said, holding a datapad, "we've received updates from Earth Command. More ships are missing, and all of them were last seen in an area called the Void." Ryan frowned. He'd heard of the Void before. It was a vast, uncharted expanse of space, known for its strange energy fields and unpredictable phenomena. Few ships dared to enter it, and even fewer returned. Emma handed him the datapad, which displayed coordinates and logs from the lost ships. "It's not just random drifters or traders," she added. "Some of these are top-of-the-line vessels with experienced crews. Whatever is happening, it's serious." Ryan studied the information carefully. He knew this wasn't just bad luck. It was something far more dangerous. Orders soon arrived from Earth Command. Ryan and the Pegasus * were to investigate the disappearances in the Void. It was a risky assignment, but Ryan didn't hesitate. If there was a threat lurking in the galaxy, humanity needed to know about it, and stopping it might be their chance to earn respect. As the Pegasus * prepared to leave, Ryan gathered his senior officers for a briefing. Dr. Alan Parks, the ship's linguist and scientist, listened intently as Ryan explained the mission. "We don't know what we're dealing with," Ryan said, pacing back and forth. "But if we can figure out why these ships are vanishing, we might prevent further losses, and maybe show the Council that we're capable of handling ourselves." The journey to the Void took several days. As they approached, the crew noticed subtle changes in their surroundings. The stars seemed dimmer, almost swallowed by the darkness ahead. Sensors picked up unusual energy readings, flickering like static on a screen. Emma kept her eyes glued to the monitors, trying to make sense of the chaotic data. "This place feels wrong," she muttered under her breath. When they entered the Void, things got worse. The ship's systems began acting strangely. Navigation faltered, communications crackled, and lights flickered unpredictably. Ryan ordered everyone to stay alert. "Keep scanning," he told Emma. "If there's anything out there, I want to know about it." Hours later, they found their first clue. Floating silently in the Void was the wreckage of an alien ship. Its hull was scared and battered, but there were no signs of damage from weapons or collisions. Emma suggested sending a team to investigate. Donning protective suits, Ryan, Emma, and 2 engineers boarded a shuttle and approached the derelict vessel. Inside, the ship was eerily empty. Everything was intact: the control panels, furniture, even personal belongings. But there was no trace of the crew. It was as though they had simply vanished into thin air. Emma noticed something scrawled on a wall in an alien language. She snapped a picture and sent it to Dr. Parks for analysis. Back on the Pegasus *, Dr. Parks worked tirelessly to decipher the message. When he finally translated part of it, his face turned pale. "It says, 'Beware the silence,'" he told Ryan and Emma. The words sent chills down their spines. Something in the Void was hunting ships, and whatever it wasn't done yet. The message, "Beware the silence," weighed heavily on everyone aboard the Pegasus *. Captain Ryan Mitchell stood in the ship's briefing room, staring at the translation displayed on a screen. The words felt like a warning, but from whom or what? He glanced at Lieutenant Emma Hayes, who was seated nearby, her brow furrowed in thought. Dr. Alan Parks, the linguist, sat quietly, still examining the alien script for any additional clues. The tension in the room was thick, and no one spoke for a long moment. "We need to keep moving," Ryan finally said, breaking the silence. His voice was calm but firm. "If there's something out here, we can't afford to sit still." Emma nodded in agreement, though she couldn't shake the unease that had settled in her chest. Something about the void felt wrong, like they were being watched. The crew prepared the ship to continue deeper into the expanse, their movements deliberate but tinged with nervous energy. As the Pegasus pressed forward, the strangeness of the void became even more apparent. The stars outside the windows seemed to dim further, replaced by an endless blackness that stretched in every direction. Strange, shadowy shapes occasionally flickered at the edges of their vision, vanishing as quickly as they appeared. No one could explain it, but the sensation of being followed grew stronger with each passing hour. Emma kept a close eye on the sensors, which were now picking up faint energy readings unlike anything they'd encountered before. "Captain," she called out, her voice steady despite her nerves. "There's something big ahead. It's hard to get a clear reading, but it's massive." Ryan joined her at the console, studying the data. Whatever it was unlike any ship or celestial object they'd ever seen. Ryan made the decision to investigate. "Set a course," he ordered. "Let's see what we're dealing with." The crew obeyed, guiding the Pegasus toward the source of the energy. As they drew closer, the shape of the entity began to emerge from the darkness. It was enormous, a swirling mass of dark matter and glowing energy that seemed alive. Its surface shifted constantly, pulsing with light and shadow. It looked both beautiful and terrifying. Suddenly, a voice filled the minds of everyone aboard the ship. It wasn't spoken aloud but resonated directly in their thoughts. "Who dares disturb my domain?" the voice asked, deep and resonant. Ryan froze for a moment, then stepped forward. "We are humans," he replied aloud, his voice steady. "We mean no harm. We're investigating the disappearances of ships in this region." The entity paused, its glowing form rippling as if considering his words. After a long moment, it responded. "I am the Weaver," it said. "I feed on chaos and discord. Many have entered my realm seeking power or answers. Few leave unchanged." Ryan exchanged a glance with Emma. The Weaver didn't seem hostile, but its words carried an ominous undertone. Emma decided to speak up. "We've found abandoned ships here," she said carefully. "Their crews are gone. Do you know what happened to them?" The Weaver's form shifted again, and its voice grew colder. "I do not claim responsibility for their fates," it replied. "But I sense another force at work, a hidden hand manipulating events within your council." Ryan's mind raced. Another force. Could someone on the Galactic Council be involved in these disappearances? Before he could ask more questions, the Weaver interrupted. "Be cautious, humans," it warned. "Your presence here has drawn attention. You may become pawns in a game you do not yet understand." The Weaver then began to retreat, its massive form dissolving into the darkness. Ryan called out, "Wait, we need more answers." But the entity was already gone, leaving only silence behind. The crew of the Pegasus stood in stunned silence, processing what they had just experienced. Emma broke the quiet first. "Do you think it was telling the truth?" she asked. Ryan exhaled slowly, his expression grim. "I don't know," he admitted. "But if there's someone on the council pulling strings, we need to find out who and why." The Pegasus turned away from where the Weaver had been, heading back toward the edge of the void. The crew knew their mission was far from over. Whatever conspiracy was unfolding, they were now caught in the middle of it. And as they left the eerie expanse behind, the feeling of being watched lingered, refusing to fade. Back at the Galactic Council chambers, rumors about humanity's involvement in the mysterious disappearances began to spread like wildfire. Councillor Lysandra, the Zentari diplomat with shimmering blue skin, seized the opportunity to turn the situation against Earth. She stood before the council, her glowing eyes scanning the room as she addressed the gathered representatives. "The evidence is clear," she declared, her voice smooth but sharp. Human ships were the last to be seen in the void before the disappearances began. Their primitive technology may have triggered some kind of catastrophe. Her words sparked murmurs of agreement among the council members. Some nodded, while others whispered amongst themselves, casting suspicious glances toward the human delegation. Ryan Mitchell and Emma Hayes listened silently, their faces unreadable, but inside, they seethed. They knew the accusations were baseless, yet they couldn't deny that their mission had uncovered unsettling truths. Truths that pointed to something far more sinister than anyone realized. Ryan leaned over to Emma during a brief pause in the discussion. "This isn't just about us anymore," he said quietly. "Lysandra's using this to push her own agenda." Emma nodded, her jaw tightening. "She's trying to make us look guilty so she can gain more power for herself, but we can't let her get away with it." Unbeknownst to the council, Lysandra was indeed hiding her own secrets. She wasn't just accusing humans out of spite. She was part of a secret faction within the council that sought to exploit the Weaver's power for their own gain. This faction believed that controlling the Weaver could give them dominance over the galaxy. To achieve this, they had developed experimental technology capable of capturing and manipulating dark matter entities like the Weaver. After the council session ended, Lysandra retreated to a private chamber aboard the Oblivion Spire *. There, she met with her co-conspirators, a small group of high-ranking officials from various alien species. Together, they finalized plans to send a covert task force into the void. Their goal was simple: to capture the Weaver and harness its abilities. Using stolen data from Earth's archives, they had modified human shielding technology to create devices capable of neutralizing the Weaver's defenses. Meanwhile, back on the Pegasus *, Ryan and Emma discussed their next move. They knew they needed proof to expose Lysandra's treachery, but gathering evidence wouldn't be easy. "If we go back to the void, we might find something," Emma suggested. "Maybe there are traces of their experiments or signs of their interference." Ryan hesitated. Returning to the void was risky, especially after their encounter with the Weaver, but he agreed it was their best option. As the Pegasus * prepared to re-enter the void, the crew remained on high alert. The shadowy shapes that had haunted them before seemed even more pronounced this time, flitting through the darkness like ghosts. Sensors picked up faint energy signatures matching the ones Lysandra's faction had been developing. "They're already here," Emma said, her voice tense as she analyzed the readings. "We need to move carefully." The crew discovered remnants of the covert task force's presence, abandoned equipment, damaged probes, and fragments of alien tech scattered across the void. It was clear that Lysandra's team had attempted to confront the Weaver but failed. As they explored further, they stumbled upon a recording device left behind by one of the operatives. The footage showed Lysandra herself overseeing the operation, her cold expression revealing her true intentions. Ryan wasted no time. "This is our proof," he said, holding up the device. "We need to get this back to the council and expose her for what she is." Emma nodded, relief washing over her face. Finally, they had the evidence they needed to clear humanity's name. But as the Pegasus * turned to leave the void, the ship's sensors detected a massive surge of energy nearby. The Weaver was returning, and it wasn't alone. Something else was coming, something darker and more dangerous. Ryan gripped the edge of the command console, his mind racing. They had uncovered the truth, but the fight was far from over. The sensors aboard the Pegasus * blared with warnings as the energy surge grew stronger. Captain Ryan Mitchell stared at the readings, his hands gripping the edge of the command console. "What's happening now?" he muttered under his breath. Lieutenant Emma Hayes stood beside him, her eyes fixed on the view screen. The swirling mass of the Weaver reappeared in the distance, its glowing form pulsing with an intensity that made the crew squint. But this time, it wasn't alone. A second presence emerged from the darkness, a jagged, shadowy figure that seemed to consume the light around it. Its shape shifted constantly, like smoke caught in a storm, and it radiated a feeling of pure malice. The Weaver's voice filled their minds again, urgent and strained. "You have awakened something ancient," it warned. "This entity thrives on fear and chaos. It is drawn to your kind." Ryan exchanged a worried glance with Emma. "We didn't awaken anything," he said aloud, though he knew the Weaver couldn't hear him directly. "This isn't our fault." The shadowy figure began moving closer, its movements erratic but purposeful. Alarms rang out across the ship as the crew scrambled to prepare for whatever was coming next. "Captain, we're detecting weapons fire," Emma shouted, pointing at the sensor display. Lysandra's covert task force had returned, their ships firing blindly at the shadowy entity in a desperate attempt to escape. Explosions lit up the void as the alien vessels were torn apart one by one, their shields useless against the dark force. The Weaver tried to intervene, its massive form colliding with the shadow, but the two entities clashed violently, creating shockwaves that rocked the Pegasus *. "We need to get out of here," Dr. Alan Parks yelled from the back of the bridge. "If those two keep fighting, they'll tear this whole area apart." Ryan hesitated. Leaving now would mean abandoning the evidence they had worked so hard to gather, but staying put would risk destroying the ship and everyone on board. Emma stepped forward, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Sir, we can't win this fight. We need to retreat and regroup. Once we're safe, we can broadcast the evidence to the Council and expose Lysandra." Ryan nodded reluctantly. She was right. They couldn't take on both the Weaver and the shadowy entity, not with their limited resources. "Set a course for the edge of the void," Ryan ordered. "Maximum speed." The crews sprang into action, rerouting power to the engines and stabilizing the ship as best they could. As the Pegasus * turned away from the battle, Ryan glanced at the view screen one last time. The Weaver and the shadowy figure continued to clash, their forms locked in a deadly dance of light and darkness. He wondered if the Weaver would survive the encounter, or if the galaxy would face an even greater threat if the shadow prevailed. The journey back to Council space was tense but uneventful. The crew worked tirelessly to repair the damage caused by the shockwaves, while Ryan and Emma prepared to present their findings. They knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Convincing the Council of Lysandra's betrayal would require more than just evidence. It would demand courage and conviction. When they finally arrived at the Oblivion Spire *, Ryan requested an emergency session of the Council. His request was granted, and within hours, representatives from across the galaxy gathered in the Grand Hall. Ryan stood before them, holding up the recording device they had recovered from the void. "This footage proves that Counselor Lysandra has been manipulating events for her own gain," he announced, his voice firm and clear. "She sent a covert task force into the void to capture the Weaver, endangering countless lives in the process." Gasps rippled through the chamber as the recording played, showing Lysandra overseeing the operation. Her cold expression left no room for doubt. She was guilty. When the video ended, silence fell over the room. Finally, one of the council members spoke. "Lysandra, do you have anything to say in your defense?" Lysandra's shimmering blue skin paled slightly, but she quickly composed herself. "This is a fabrication," she insisted, though her voice lacked its usual confidence. "Humans are trying to shift blame onto me to save themselves." Ryan stepped forward, his eyes locked on hers. "Then explain why your technology was found in the void. Explain why your operatives attacked the Weaver. You've betrayed the Council, and now you must face the consequences." The room erupted into arguments, but the tide had turned. Lysandra's allies began to distance themselves from her, unwilling to share in her disgrace. Within minutes, security forces moved to arrest her, dragging her from the chamber as she shouted protests. The arrest of Counselor Lysandra sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. For the first time, humanity was seen not as an outsider or a joke, but as a force to be reckoned with. Ryan Mitchell and Emma Hayes stood in the council chamber, watching as the once powerful Centauri diplomat was led away in handcuffs. Her glowing blue skin had lost its shimmer, and her usual arrogance was replaced by anger and humiliation. The other council members whispered among themselves, their tones ranging from disbelief to admiration for the humans who had uncovered the truth. But Ryan knew this wasn't the end. The shadowy entity in the void still posed a threat, one that could dwarf anything they had faced before. As the council session concluded, he approached a group of senior representatives. "We stopped Lysandre," he said, his voice calm but urgent, "but the real danger is still out there. That thing in the void, it's dangerous, and it's growing stronger. If we don't act now, it could target the entire galaxy." One of the council members, a tall alien with silver scales and piercing green eyes, nodded thoughtfully. "You're right," he admitted. "This isn't just Earth's problem anymore. It's ours too." Another representative added, "We'll need to form a coalition, a joint effort between all species, to deal with this threat." Ryan felt a flicker of hope. For years, humanity had been treated as inferior, mocked for its limitations. But now, they were being asked to lead. He exchanged a glance with Emma, who gave him a small, encouraging smile. "We'll do everything we can to help," Ryan said firmly. "But we'll need resources, ships, technology, and support from everyone here." The council agreed, and within hours, plans were set in motion. A fleet of ships from various species began assembling near the edge of the void, ready to confront the shadowy entity. Ryan and Emma returned to the Pegasus *, where the crew worked tirelessly to prepare for the mission ahead. Dr. Alan Parks analyzed the data they had gathered, searching for any weaknesses in the entity. "It feeds on chaos and fear," he explained during a briefing. "If we can disrupt its energy source or contain it somehow, we might stand a chance." As the coalition fleet entered the void, the darkness seemed even heavier than before. The shadowy figure loomed in the distance, larger and more menacing than ever. Its presence filled the void with an oppressive silence, broken only by the faint hum of the ship's engines. Ryan clenched his jaw, his hands gripping the command console. "Stay sharp," he ordered. "We don't know what it's capable of." The Weaver reappeared suddenly, its glowing form flickering weakly. It had clearly been damaged in its earlier battle with the shadowy entity. "You must act quickly," the Weaver's voice echoed in their minds. "This creature cannot be allowed to leave the void. It will consume everything in its path." Emma studied the sensors, her fingers flying over the controls. "There's a pattern to its movements," she said. "It seems drawn to areas of high emotional stress, like fear or panic." Ryan nodded. "Then we'll use that against it. We'll create a distraction while the coalition sets up containment fields around it." The plan was risky, but it was their best shot. Ryan ordered the Pegasus to move closer to the entity, drawing its attention. The shadow turned toward them, its jagged edges rippling like waves. Beams of dark energy shot out, narrowly missing the ship as the crew maneuvered desperately to avoid destruction. Meanwhile, the coalition fleet deployed massive devices designed to generate containment fields. The devices hummed with energy, slowly forming a barrier around the shadowy figure. For a moment, it seemed like the plan might work. The shadow thrashed violently, trying to break free, but the containment field held firm. Then, without warning, the entity unleashed a surge of power, shattering the field and sending shockwaves through the fleet. Ships spun out of control, their systems overloaded. On the Pegasus alarms blared as panels sparked and lights flickered. The victory over the shadowy entity in the void marked a turning point for humanity. As the Pegasus and the coalition fleet returned to Council space, news of their success spread quickly. For the first time, humans were not just seen as newcomers or outsiders. They were respected as equals. The Galactic Council held another session to formally acknowledge humanity's role in saving the galaxy. Representatives from every species stood and applauded as Captain Ryan Mitchell addressed the chamber. "We didn't do this alone," Ryan said, his voice steady but humble. "Every member of this council played a part. This proves that when we work together, there's no challenge we can't overcome." His words earned nods of approval from the gathered diplomats, many of whom had once mocked Earth's starships. Lieutenant Emma Hayes stood beside him, her face glowing with pride. She had always believed in humanity's potential, and now the rest of the galaxy did too. In the weeks that followed, humanity's status within the Council grew stronger. Earth was granted a permanent seat at the table, ensuring its voice would be heard in all future decisions. New alliances were formed, and resources were shared freely between species to rebuild what had been damaged during the crisis. The shadowy entity was gone, but its brief appearance served as a reminder of how fragile peace could be, and how important it was to protect it. Back on the Pegasus *, Ryan reflected on everything that had happened. He walked along the quiet corridors of the ship, thinking about the sacrifices made and the lessons learned. When he reached the observation deck, he found Emma gazing out at the stars. She turned as he approached, offering him a small smile. "It feels strange, doesn't it?" she said softly. "After everything we've been through, things are finally calm." Ryan nodded. "For now," he replied, "but I don't think we'll ever truly have peace, not completely. There will always be challenges waiting for us out there." He gestured toward the endless expanse of space beyond the window. "Still, I'm proud of what we've accomplished. We proved that humanity belongs here." Emma leaned against the railing, her eyes scanning the stars. "Do you think the Weaver was telling the truth about the balance of the galaxy being fragile?" Ryan sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I think so. That's why we can't stop pushing forward. We've come a long way since those early days of space exploration, but there's still so much we don't understand. And if we want to survive, we'll need to keep learning." As the Pegasus approached Earth, the crew prepared for some well-deserved rest. They had faced unimaginable dangers and emerged victorious, but they knew their mission was far from over. Space was vast and full of mysteries, and humanity's journey was only beginning. When the ship landed, crowds gathered to welcome them home. Families embraced loved ones, and cheers echoed across the landing site. Ryan and Emma stepped off the ship together, greeted by reporters and dignitaries eager to hear their story. But amidst the celebration, Ryan couldn't help but feel a sense of responsibility weighing on his shoulders. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, but maintaining that position would require hard work, courage, and unity. That night, as Ryan looked up at the sky from his balcony, he thought about the future. The galaxy was filled with wonders and dangers, but he believed in humanity's ability to rise to any challenge. Beside him, Emma joined in the quiet moment. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. "The road ahead," Ryan admitted. "It won't always be easy, but I know we're ready for whatever comes next." Emma smiled, her confidence unwavering. "We've got this, Ryan, together." And as they stood there under the stars, watching Earth spin peacefully below, they both felt a renewed sense of purpose. Humanity had proven itself in the eyes of the galaxy, and though the journey was far from over, they were determined to keep moving forward, to explore, to learn, and to protect the fragile balance of the universe.